We're back at it on the farm out here. Everybody, welcome back. If you haven't watched this before, welcome to Fred's DIY for the Average Guy, where we just do a little bit of everything to keep the place going around here, work on cars and tractors and whatnot. And so today I've got this old 8N Ford tractor here. We had a flood recently that brought the water levels well up onto the tractor, above the carburetor, above the distributor. So we're going to go through and kind of take the steps necessary to get this thing back to where we can mow with it. Now, we take a look at the carburetor here. We see down here there's a drain plug, and I've already taken that off and just drained the bowl with this screw right here on the bowl, just to make sure that if water did penetrate through the breather tube here into the carburetor, which you could see the evidence of high water in here, that we got all the water out of there. And I did drain the bowl, make sure we're getting fuel from the fuel supply into the carburetor, so I don't have gas into the carburetor. The next thing I did was check spark. So I hooked up a spark plug tester and just intercept the plug wire to the plug with this test light, cranked it over, and no spark. So the next step then was to see if we're getting voltage to our coil. And so if you can see under here on the coil, there is the power wire that feeds the coil with the key on. We should be getting voltage to that, and we were. So that narrows it down to our problem is somewhere between the cap points and the get into the plug. So we're going to dig in, clean our cap out real good, make sure all the contacts are clean, clean our little rotor bug in there, and get back up in there to the points and get the points taken out and filed down. I'm gonna have to find those boogers first, but they're buried in there. And get all that cleaned up inside the distributor and make sure it's all good and dry. And that really should solve our problem, because that's where the problem starts, is at the distributor. So we'll dig into that and see how that goes. And now we can see right away with this distributor cap, it's a little dirty inside. I don't think that's anything really that would keep it from running, but up on top here where the coil rests on top of the cap and where the coil actually charges the cap, it's pretty rusty. So we're going to clean that off and then make sure the bottom side of our coil here, where it meets the cap, it's a spring. It looks like it's fairly decent. So we'll clean off this contactor here on the cap, and then while we're in it, we'll just rub a little of this gunk off of the contact points in here, and maybe take a look at the points while we're in here. Obviously we will, we're this far into it. Okay guys, I took some emery cloth and some brake cleaner, cleaned up all these contacts pretty good. Got them shining like a diamond in a goat's butt, so to speak. So I think that's ready to go back on. And this is a good time to point out these Ford tractors. If you're ever, these are good tractors. This is my only complaint with this tractor, is the location of the distributor. Now the later models, they moved it back out to the side of the block where you can actually get to it and work on it. But as you can see the points in there, no, you probably really can't, because I really can't see them. But you know, this is what happens when you have an engineer who doesn't know how to work on things, and they just have all classroom education, and they think it's probably a good idea to put your distributor cap on the front of your motor amongst all the moving parts, where you can't reach it and you can't even visually inspect it without tearing the front end off the tractor. So that's where we're at. I'm going to try to finagle in there, maybe get some mirrors and look at these points and see if I can just inch a piece of emery cloth in between them without having to take them out and clean them up. This has been a good tractor, and it's always started for me. Like I said, we got some flooding, and I let it sit a little while after the flooding, and I'm sure it's just corroded up a little bit, but I guarantee you we'll have this thing running by the end of the day. It's never failed to start for me. Okay guys, after wrestling with this distributor for a while in there, I recalled the last time I worked on this, I just had to take the whole thing out. It's really not a big deal. There's 2 bolts on here, and just be mindful of the orientation of this flat spot before you pull it out, so you can get that line back up. And what it looks like on the back side, it's got a couple of teeth that catch in a notch up in there, and that way you can get to your points and do all this on the bench. These points actually look pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do some filing on them anyway, just to make sure they're good and clean. Slap this thing back in. Also noticed that one of the wires, actually the wire that I had my plug tester hooked to, had actually gotten into the belt and rubbed it pretty good. I'm not sure if I still have continuity even from one end of this wire to the other, so I may just dumb luck pick the wrong plug to pull and check up there, but nonetheless it wasn't starting, so it does have some issue with it. So it's a good time to get all the crud cleaned out of the ignition and make sure we get some spark going. So we have fuel, we have spark. She should be running, and she wasn't, and I knew she had fuel, and initial testing showed no spark. So here we are. So quick way just to clean your point contacts, they're right here. I've got this emery cloth in between them, but you can just take your screwdriver here and kind of pry back on this and open your points, open your contacts there. Slip that emery cloth down in between it, and then just kind of work that emery cloth back and forth in there and sand on that. And then when you do that side, pull it out, flip your emery cloth facing the other way to hit the opposite contact, and take your screwdriver and open them up, slip your emery cloth back down in there, file and sand on both sides of them. Make sure you get all the debris out of there. After you do that, I like to hit mine with a little brake cleaner just to blow it out real good. So we've got the contacts cleaned on the points, cleaned all the contacts in the distributor cap and the rotor bug, and we'll probably scrape on the spring coming off the bottom of the coil just a little bit, just because we're here. Slap it all back together. Probably grab another spark plug to test and see if we have fire. So there's our distributor with a full Dorman rebuild on it. And what I mean by that is I cleaned it up real good with the brush and some brake cleaner. And I could, at this point, slap a QC sticker on it and put it in a box and ship it to O'Reilly's to sell to the next sucker. But since I need it today, I'm gonna go ahead and slap her back on the tractor. So looky here, we do have a pretty dirty contactor on the coil. I initially thought this spring was the contactor, but it's actually over here. So we're gonna clean that off real good. We got the distributor back mounted in, pretty simple. And then stack the coil on top and clip it in. Okay, we got the distributor stabbed back in. I did take the plugs out and just clean them off because, as I said, this thing was underwater. Just wanted to make sure there wasn't nothing in the cylinders. Just brushed them off while I had them out. So I'm gonna turn this thing on and see what happens here. She sounds a little rough. She's got an exhaust leak, but she does run. I don't want to run it very long because I want to change the oil. I'm sure that oil managed to get into the crankcase. So there you have it. We checked for fuel, checked for fire, no fire, cleaned up the points and all the contacts between the coil and the cap. even with the crappy wires on there, the thing's still sparking and running. Like I said, it's one of the best pieces of equipment that I have. I can leave it sitting for months, even with this cheap modern gas in it, and as long as the battery's got a charge, she'll usually kick over. So hope you enjoyed watching the video, and hope this helps. Thanks again, and if you would like and subscribe, that'll help our channel. Have a good day.